Hello everybody and welcome to the True Love Talk channel. As you know, here we want to learn about human sexuality, love, life, family, and all of these from the point of view of the Catholic Church, but particularly what Pope John Paul II left in the Theology of the Body. As you also may know, I am Elisa, and today we're going to talk about the 4 characteristics of love. Pope John Paul II told us that true love was free, total, faithful, and fruitful. We're going to begin with what does it mean that love must be free? So, if that sounds good enough, let's begin. So, when we talk about love being free, we can all think of situations in which love is forced. Like those kind of marriages that are arranged, right, in those cultures in which people are not free or women have not been granted all the same dignity and the same rights as men. It usually happens that families just talk with one another and they arrange marriages, right? And the person just meets their new spouse 3 days before the wedding and they have to say yes and that's it, right? So at that point, we can easily say, yeah, no, maybe they don't love each other. And of course, we know that they don't because they haven't built a relationship. However, this is not the only time when love isn't free. Because what truly makes love free is that we choose the other person for the sake of the other person, right? We are not choosing them for any other reason that they are they. And we love who they are. Remember what we were saying on last video about love, true love, happening when we start feeling goodwill towards the other person. And goodwill meaning it is no longer just attraction and desire. It's not just saying, I really want you in my life, right? There's something wonderful about you that would make my existence better. But it's actually when we can say, you are so wonderful, right? Then even if you don't give me anything ever again, and even if it's complicated to be with you, you are worth it, right? Yourself is so amazing that you're worth it regardless of not getting anything, or even regardless of all the costs that I would have to assume to be with you. But you're good enough. Because let's remember that human beings are never means to an end. They are always ends in themselves. Right? We cannot say this human being is good for, okay? This human being is good in itself. Their existence is good because we are people. Whenever we treat a person as you're good for, we're dehumanizing the person because we're treating the person as a thing that achieves a goal, as a tool to achieve a goal, an end. And that would of course raise a question if we truly love the other person or if we want to be with the person for another reason, say for an ulterior motive. Like, yeah, this man has a lot of money and he takes me out to dinner and I really want to eat out or something like that, right? Of course, sometimes the reasons that people have to be with one another are a little bit more nefarious, but you get the main idea, right? So in this idea of love being free of need, of love being absolutely about the worth of the other person and how amazing we think this person is, we need to check for certain things that happen in ourselves that are going to make it impossible for us to choose to love the other person. And I say choose because remember what we saw on last video, right? Love is a feeling, right? The emotion of being in love is automatic, right? We don't choose it. It just happens. Suddenly we meet this person and oh, this person is absolutely wonderful. But the real deal, real love is a feeling that we choose to have, right? That even when we see everything about the person, even when we realize that not everything is going to be easy or is going to be joyful or blissful or anything, right? That it's actually going to take hard work and it's going to be complicated to be with the other person. If we're able to say you're still worth it, even though I'm not getting much more out of it, right? And it costs me a lot to be here. The point is you're so absolutely worth it You're worth so much for me that I would say yes to this. So what happens in our head that might make us think, maybe I don't really love this other person? And it's the kind of thing we have to check out to know if we truly love someone else. And from this point forward, we're going to focus a lot on romantic relationships, right? And relationships between a man and a woman that will create a spousal bond further along, right? So what happens here that might make us think, okay, maybe I am not loving the other person. Maybe I'm not truly loving this other person. The first thing we have to be careful of is projection. Projection is basically that we put whatever we have in our head onto the other person and we say, this person is like this. In the particular case of romantic relationships, happens that every single human being has an idea in their head of who and how is the perfect person, right? All the characteristics that would make this person Prince Charming or Princess Charming. And usually when we meet someone, but especially when we meet them in this idea of having a romantic relationship, what we get is we project everything on the other person. Basically, our mind does something really funny, which is we have absolutely not a single proof that this person is not everything that I want it to be, right? For all I know, they could be the absolute perfect person. And because I don't have proof that they aren't, our mind does the silly thing of saying, no, they absolutely are. It's absolutely true. This person has everything I've always wanted. But, and this is why people think that maybe sometimes love fades. Because we start dating the person and what the person starts showing themselves as they truly are. And that is when we realize that, hey, maybe I was mistaken and maybe this person isn't what I thought they were, right? So I'm dating a man and I've always wanted a very hardworking man. And when I meet him, I think, yep, he's hardworking. He looks like it. There's something about him that tells me that he indeed works as hard as I want him to work. But then I realized a few months later in the relationship, his favorite football team is having a great match and he calls in sick from work and he calls his boss, he says he's sick and he stays home to watch the football game, right? And at that point, I just turn around and tell him, hey, why are you so, hey, but you've always been so dedicated to your job, right? You've always been so hardworking. What are you doing this? And that's when the person turns around and says, no, I've never been like that. I would have never missed a football game for work. So if you ever thought about this, I don't know who were you thinking about because it isn't me, right? And basically, this is something that needs to happen in every relationship, especially, as I said, in romantic relationships. We have to give the other person the time to take off from themselves all the things that we put on them, all those characteristics that we want them to have, right? The problem is this projection is helped or is supported by another mechanism, which is shame. As we had said on the videos of the castration complex, we are generally thinking that we are not worthy, that we're not good enough, right? That there's something wrong with us and therefore nobody will be able to love us as we truly are. So when we start a relationship, we realize that the other person is putting things on us, right? Is projecting some characteristics on us. And we start thinking, if I don't look like this, I will be left, right? This person is going to leave me. So we actually we go along with it, right? We kind of lie about who we are and we present ourselves as good as the other person wants us to be. And of course, that means that the projection that the other person made on us is maintained for a long time. So it will take a lot more time for that person to truly love us. Because until the person doesn't see who we really are, they cannot choose to actually love who we are, right? And the same happens with us. if until the other person doesn't show who they really are, we cannot choose to truly love them. Right? However, we're so scared that we are not worthy of love that we usually try to hide ourselves as much as possible. But then it happens, and this is exclusive of the romantic relationship, that the brain actually starts releasing hormones that are going to help us establish the bond with the other person. And these hormones have two basic roles to play. First of all, they make everything look good or feel good or be nice. That is when we're in love, we love everything, right? When we're in love and the sun is shining, it's a great day. But if it's raining, it's also a beautiful day, and it's also very romantic. And long walks on the beach are romantic, but right, being in a watching horror movies is also super romantic, and just hanging out is super romantic as well. And the brain does that so that we don't give up on a good relationship when the first problem arises, right? So we're looking for a very specific person. This person doesn't exist, right? So at one point or another, the person we're with is going to turn around and say, yeah, that isn't me. This is whom I really are, and they break what we were projecting on them, right? But when that happens, we're going to be frustrated. And maybe what they're showing us is really something that we dislike a lot. At that point, it would be very simple for us to just break it off and say, yeah, never again, I can't stand you, right? So the brain, knowing that this can happen, they give us, see, it releases the hormones that make everything look good so that we give them a second chance, right? And we keep trying to build a relationship, and we don't discard it on the first issue. The other thing that these hormones of being in love do is they make us want to be with the other person all the time. That is why we're always thinking of the other person when we're in love, and we always want to spend time with them. Actually, what the brain is trying to do is to give us the time and the reasons to make this person or to choose this person as an important part of our lives. Think of any relationship that isn't a spousal relationship, right? That you have that is truly important. Okay? These people who are fundamentally important, these people who we would be devastated if they were gone. We love them because we have years and years, in the case of our parents or our primary caregivers, we have an entire lifetime of memories and reasons of why this person is important, why I love this person, right? This person has always been there. The relationship with this person is like this. The way we talk to one another, or the way this person supports me or shows me that they love me is like this, this, and that. And that is what ultimately makes this person a fundamental part of who we are. And that is what we can choose to have goodwill towards them. But when we're starting a relationship, especially one that is supposed to last until death do us part, we really don't have any reason to say, yeah, no, you're absolutely wonderful. You are the person I am going to be with the rest of my life. Indeed, you are. I have all these memories of you, because we don't have any memories. It's just starting. So what the brain does is it makes us want to be with the other person all the time, to look for them, to try to spend time with them, so that we can create these memories, right? These meanings, the common language of the couple, and so on, so that we can actually say, yeah, no, you are indeed this important person for me. But if we put together these three mechanisms, right? Projection, shame, and the hormones, the truth is, at that point, we might feel absolutely in love. We might feel we never want to be apart, but we are absolutely incapable of choosing to love the other person, because because we're not really seeing the other person, right? Because we're not loving that other person for who they are, but for who we think they are, or what we like about them, right? So yeah, it is important to be able to say, no, I choose you, right? Because you're you, not because you are that person that I have in my head and that it's so wonderful and that I always wanted to meet. Not because you indeed do whatever I want you to do. Not because it just happens, right? It's in my heart to love you. But because even when you're different, even when things are complicated between us, because even if it takes some effort to be with you and to choose you, I still do because you are that important to me. So, as you can see, the most complicated obstacles to overcome when it comes to talking about the other person or to loving the other person are actually our own feelings, right? But let's say that these three first elements that we've talked about are actually good. Okay? These are desirable things that we like. But there are other times when we cannot say the other person, I love you, because we're not choosing them for them, but for another reason. Like, let's say I want to marry my boyfriend, but he is in love with someone else, so I tell him that I'm pregnant, right? To catch him. And I indeed am pregnant. And I actually prepared everything to get pregnant. Let's say I were that bad a person. In that case, sure, I might want the other person. How much that is true love, I don't know, because it looks kind of sick and dependent kind of relationship, so it would be a bit bad. But the big problem is the relationship with the child, right? This child is never going to be my baby, right? My child, which appeared in my life, and it's a wonderful person in themselves. This person is always going to be the ticket for my relationship with my spouse or with my boyfriend, right? He is going to be the reason why I am not left. So deep down, this baby is never going to be loved by themselves. Okay? This baby is never going to be seen as an end in itself. It's going to be assumed as a means to achieve something else. In this case, we would have to say, yeah, I don't truly love the baby. The other thing, but there are other kinds of needs that we have, that we take to our relationships, that would make us maybe think that, yeah, I don't really love you, like being afraid of being alone, right? So is it because this person is that wonderful? No, actually, he's the person that I found, and I'm here because I don't want to be alone, right? Or because my mom it's bothering me too much and they're saying that I'm spinster. So yeah, this guy, finally somebody put a ring on my finger, so I'm sticking with this guy, even if, right, they don't do anything for me. Even if I don't truly like him, right? It could be because, it could be because this person has a lot of status and I want the status they can provide, or because they can get me a good opportunity at a job, or they give me a lifestyle that I like. All of these are going to be impediments for obstacle. All of these are going to be obstacles for true love, because we're not going to choose the other person for who the other person is, but for everything else associated. So the person stopped being that person that I want to have in my life, that person that I am relating to become a means to an end that I actually want. Okay? And as you can see, seeing what has taken away our freedom to love is not that easy. Sometimes we're not free to love, but we don't even notice. And we actually think that, no, yeah, I'm absolutely in love, right? And yeah, it might be true. It's being in love, but it isn't truly loving, right? Because my brain is still doing it for me. Because I'm still thinking, because I don't even know the other person, right? I'm still thinking this person is the person I want them to be, not the person they truly are. So I'm choosing it. I'm choosing them because, okay, who wouldn't want to be with a perfect person? So if we ever want true love, it has to be free. And that means that we need to check that the only reason why we are with the other person is the other person. Okay? That we're not getting anything else from it. That it is not that nothing else that happens is more important than the value of this person in our lives. That meaning, if right now we're in a great situation, but could I love this person even if we were broke, he looked bad, he was old and ugly and fat. Okay? Could I love him even if could I love him in the middle of a war? Could I love him when we're having hard times? All of these are the kind of things that we need to answer ourselves. Because if the answer is no, I actually need X, Y, and Z, or actually there is this part of his life or what he is providing that I really want, that is when you can say, yeah, you don't really love this person, because if you love them, they would be enough in themselves. So anyway, this is today's topic. I'm very glad to see that you decided to stay until the end of the video. If you have any question or any comment, please write it in the comment section below. I'll try to answer it as soon as possible. And well, see you in a week. Have a nice day. Lots of blessings for everybody. Bye.